Hello Disney fans and welcome to the Jamie and Stephen show. Let's talk movies, music and magic. In today's special YouTube only episode, I'm going to be taking a look at my most recent visit to Disneyland Paris and, more specifically, Adventure World. So firstly, just want to give you a bit of background. I went to Disneyland Paris with my partner, and it was to celebrate my birthday. I won't say the age, but on the whole, my actual birthday we spent at Adventure World, and I just had a great day there. We did go over to Disneyland Paris, which again, I was going to have a fun day there. It was our first time since they've made it over as Adventure World. It used to be Walt Disney Hollywood Studios. And actually, small confession, out of the two, when it was Studios and you had Disneyland, I actually preferred Studios, although I knew it was very, very, very flawed. So the first part that I'll mention is the World Stage Premiere. So this is the corridor that you kind of go through. It's used to be Studio B, I believe. I didn't notice personally too much difference, although I was told by my partner that it was. There were some really nice details in here, and I could see actually when I looked at it more that yes, the restaurant in there, or the quick service restaurant I should say, that is very much improved. It looked a lot nicer. It didn't just look like an old McDonald's, it looked like an actual nice place to eat with like outside begonias. Obviously everything's inside, but begonias and like plants hanging from there. There was, at the time we went, flags and banners and posters for The Devil Wears Prada 2. What was quite nice is there is actually a red carpet, which is your entrance into the quick service restaurant, and that had like a projection on it, and that was the logo for Devil Wears Prada 2. The shop on the other side, I genuinely can't tell you any difference in that shop except for the location of things. The pins were not where the pins used to be, but as for everything else, I really can't tell you the difference. So if anyone wants to go in the comments and tell me what the differences are, I'll be glad to know, but to my eyes there was nothing. The main bit, the actual walk, which is meant to be the road, you've got the world premiere, the sign that's on the above the kind of official entrance into the main Disney park. That was really nice. I can't actually remember what was there before, but it did look quite, I was just about to say it looked quite new. Of course it looked new, it is new, but it was nice. Very bright, very standout. One thing that I didn't notice until later on during the day was the kind of the first set of doors that you go through. When you're going out of the park and you're leaving and you go through those doors, that's actually done as Walt Disney Studios, the Burbank, I believe. It's got a building number as 500, and if you look in the different windows you'll see little Disney related characters. There was Pinocchio and I believe Dumbo kind of in the windows as shadows, silhouettes and things. Really nice touch. As you're going out, you'll see that there's like a floor plan which kind of tells you what's on different levels, and when I was there was loads of Donald Duck posters and bits just pinned to a notice board, so I don't know whether that will change, but I like Donald, So that's fun. Coming out into the main studio park, you have to kind of go. There's a load of doors, and then you have to go into two separate kind of exit entrances, which is basically you walking around the Walt and Mickey statue, the partners statue. But as you come out, the view down the main pathway is just amazing. I'm so glad that they've done this up. It just looks really, really good. It's really stunning. It looks equally as good during the day as it does during the night. I was really glad that I got to see both, and yeah, that to me it really showed up kind of the older parts of the park. I know that they've done bits up where they've put like neon lighting around certain bits and like a paint here and there, so I know that there are things that are going to be there to stay, but this bit, just walking up, is really, really good and actually made me really excited about the things to come. Obviously, just before you get and you walk down that path, you've got Adventure Way, I believe. Adventure Showcase. I can't remember what that's called now, but basically it's where the other studios are. So you have the Mickey and the Magician on at the moment, and there's the Together, which is the Pixar show. There's also the Stitch live thing, and there was something with Minnie Mouse which I didn't go in and see. I know that they kind of include some of the older rides in that, so you've got the Tower of Terror and I still can't believe it's the Aladdin Magic Carpet ride. No, I'm sorry, that it needs to go. It's just in the completely wrong place. Like, I don't care what anyone else says or what the official parks say or anything. That is not in a separate bit to the Pixar place. I'm sorry, it's not. It is literally joined to Crush's Coaster, and it's still there, and they've kind of added to it and they've refurbished it, so it's there to stay. No, and I refuse to go on it as well. Sorry, no, doesn't belong there. Does not belong there. Do you know what? If they was to, I know it's not as easy as just picking up a ride, but if they was to pick it up and put it a little bit further down, where the new Tangled ride is, completely fine with that. Absolutely. And do you know what? Yeah, it would make more sense. But unfortunately, I don't think that Disney have any plans to get rid of that ride anytime soon, especially with the genie featuring in some of the logo designs on the prints and posters and things for Adventure World. So we went along the path, and yeah, the addition of trees and the fact that there's a nice little area where there's like a Tangled show which is done under a bandstand. We didn't go to see that, and for the simple reason is because we actually glimpsed a little bit of it on our first day in the park, and it looked like I was going to be embarrassed for the performers. It was very busy, and the performers did an amazing job from what I saw, but what they were being asked to do, I would have been embarrassed for. What's really nice about that little area is some of the seats have little bronze statues. So if you've ever been to Leicester Square in London, which is where they do a lot of the premieres, so you've got like the big main cinemas there, they have bronze statues. They have things like Paddington Bear, Mr. Bean, Lauren Hardy, and Gene Kelly singing in the rain, Mary Poppins, and they've kind of replicated that a little bit over in this kind of like bandstand pavilion place, where you've got a bronze Winnie the Pooh statue who's sat on the bench next to you, and you've also got Pongo with some of the puppies, and in the kind of entrance thing there is Peter Pan as well, which is really nice. On the opposite side of that is the Tangle ride. I'll go into that a bit later, but they also have like a mini lake with one of the boats in the middle, and there's like a turret that you can stand in, and it's a really good photo opportunity. You've also got the entrance to Toy Story Land, and with all the greenery that's kind of been added to this area, it looks really, really nice. Even if you don't go into the Toy Story Land, just to look over there, it is really nice with the giant, you can see the giant Woody and Jessie, and you've also got the lights, those kind of big Christmas lights that are in the first film. They're above you, and obviously they light up and things. That was all there before. I think they've kind of just added to it. I can't remember if Jessie and Woody were there before, but I assume they were. When you get up to the end of the path, you've got the lake. Now, the lake is filthy, absolutely filthy, but it is really nice. And yes, it gives Epcot vibes. It gives very much that that walk around where you go into the different lands. There's not a lot around there at the moment. You really do just have the restaurant and the Frozen Land, which I'll get into in a little bit. But yeah, having that long walk around, having just a little bit of nature there. So the trees, the lake, you can see fish in the lake. There's obviously birds and things in the trees. I also believe they've put like sounds in the trees for like bird tweets and things, because I heard a lot of tweeting and I didn't really see birds, apart from the pigeons, obviously. So that was really nice. As I've mentioned, Toy Story and Pixar area, pretty much the same, but you can access it now. So the Cars studio tour, the ride that they have, was really busy when we went. I've never ever queued up for that ride, and if I have, it's because one of the trams have just gone and they are unloading the next one. The wait time was at the minimum of 25 minutes each time we were there, which is really good to see, because it's a nice simple background ride. It allows just that little bit of quiet time. Obviously people of all ages can go on there, and it was really good to see that it was busy, and that's because it is now accessible properly. You don't have to walk through multiple different lands. It's kind of next to the Tangle ride, it's next to the restaurant, it's near the lake, so you can just walk straight down there and yeah, enjoy yourself on that Cars ride. Then we get on to Arendelle. Now, I have mixed feelings about this land. When you're in Arendelle and when you're looking at it from afar, you do get different experiences, and that's because I believe they've not made it big enough. And when I say it's not made big enough, I don't mean, oh, there's only one ride and there's only one. No, I'm happy with what's there, but the pathways in between everything are just, they're too small. This is a hugely popular land, and I really don't think that that's going to change. Like, I think this is always going to be busy. Just like Pixar, the Toy Story bit is always busy. I believe this is going to be another one of those, and it's really difficult to kind of not get around, because it is literally almost a straight line, but it's difficult to get anywhere, especially if there's queues for things. So when we were there was the queue for the ride was out the door, the queue for the shop next to the ride was out the door, the queue for the little boutique was out the door, there was a queue for there was a meet and greet. I can never remember his name, but he's the shopkeeper, the Yoo-hoo Big Summer Blowout. There was a queue for him. There was a queue to take photos at the statue, the fountain, sorry. There was a queue for face painting, and although there wasn't a queue for there was like a little food place, there was a lot of people outside looking at the menu, and it just leaves very, very little space for you to walk around. So I think they could have done with just another metre or two width of that path, because just to ease that off just a little bit. Talking of the Frozen ride, it was absolute horrible queuing for this ride, because we got there for magic hours and the ride was broken down. It was our last day, and it was one of the last things that was kind of on our bucket list to do, and it decided to absolutely chuck it down. They wouldn't let us queue indoors. Loads of people gave different reasons why we weren't allowed to queue indoors. One said that if they let everyone queue it inside and then they had to ask people to leave, it wouldn't create a guest experience. However, we were all stood and it was ice cold rain. It was just cold. We were drenched and it continuously rained with some heavy downpour. When it wasn't heavy downpour, it was just normal rain, and it was just cold. It was not pleasant. Obviously that's not Disney's fault, it was our choice to queue. We were then told that the reason why they weren't letting anyone queue indoors is because they would have to give out free fast pass, which, to be honest with you, I believe that as the reason more than the guest experience thing, because obviously they make a lot of money through fast pass, and that ride was always over an hour, at some point 2-hour wait time, and losing the revenue from FastPass, they were just not wanting to do that. That's how I saw it, that's what I believe, and I'm allowed that opinion. I'm allowed. The ride itself, we went on single rider because the queue time was quicker. I do recommend doing that, by the way, because unless you've got young children, you don't need to be with anyone else on that ride. You can do that on your own. It is identical to the one that's in Epcot in Florida, but it's enjoyable. It's just really, really enjoyable. There is so much, and there was a little child on the ride with me who was like constantly telling me and his parents exactly what we were seeing. So that was the let it go bit, the let it go bit, or that's Olaf, and she did the let it go and we went this way, and that was the let it go bit, Mum, that was the let it go. So it was really sweet. The other new ride that's there is the Tangle ride, which I mentioned before. It's basically the teacups, and don't go on this during the day, it's not worth it. You don't get the full experience. I'm sure it will look a lot nicer being on that ride at night, which we didn't do, but it is basically just the teacups, but it's a different shape. It's a boat. There are a few shows and things that we saw while we were there. We did the ones that had been there before, so Mickey and the Magician, which I forgot how good that was. It's just a good show, And the Together, I think it's called, which is the Pixar show. I wasn't a big fan of that one, but other people seem to really enjoy it, including my partner, and yeah, it's not for me, but it was for others. One thing that definitely was for me though, and I wish I could remember the name of the damn thing, is the fireworks show at the end. Now this was given very much Epcot vibes. This was on the lake. There was a platform that kind of moved in. One of the walkways, which is a bridge, kind of closes. For us it closed at 8 o'clock. It rotates out of the way, and then this barge kind of comes in, and that's kind of the stage for the show. The show, without giving too much away, was amazing. Like, I wouldn't say they did a huge deep dive in Disney history, but I enjoyed the choices of IP that they used in this, and yeah, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the pre-show music as well, which sounded like the old Disney Goes Pop albums, you know, like the CeeLo Green and Jordan Fisher did. I enjoyed those. Yes, it would have been nice to hear the original, but I enjoyed them even so. But yeah, that fireworks show, it's with drones, there's water fountains, there's projections, obviously music, fireworks, everything. It's just really, really good. And when we went over to Disneyland and we saw the fireworks there, because they're renovating the bridge at the moment, and there's a few bits that they're doing around, that show just wasn't on the same level. So yeah, if you are going, go to World Showcase, Adventure World, and head to the lake. We did sit there for an hour waiting for the fireworks, but that wasn't because we had to. It was more because it had been a very long day at that point, and we found a really nice spot actually, and we sat down. I replied to a load of people who had sent me birthday messages, and we had like a biscuit, one of the cookies, and bottles of Coke and whatnot, and just prepared ourselves for the fireworks. One thing we thought we were going to have to do would be to actually, we might have thought about reserving a space so you can pay, I think it was like 24 euros each or something, to reserve a space. You do not need to do that. I'm sorry, that park was rammed busy, and yet I could not think of a bad place to stand, because you can stand all the way around that lake, and there are tiers, so you could be on the bottom tier, or if you were on the second tier at the front, you can look above the heads of all the people that are on that first tier. And then you've got the third tier, which again, you can look above the heads of all of those. There's steps that you can stand on, sit on and whatnot. There's benches, and yeah, you do not need to reserve a space. And unless this park is gonna double the amount of people that are there for the fireworks, you do not need to worry about missing out on a space. It wasn't needed. There was no one stood behind me when we did this, and we were in quite we weren't in a hidden nook or on the opposite side of the lake. We were near the kind of entrance to the lake, a little bit to the left, and yeah, we got perfect view, and yeah, I just really enjoyed that. I mentioned that there were meet and greets, although we did see, and again, can't remember his name, from from Frozen. There was a Minnie Mouse marching band, so not necessarily a meet and greet, but she led a marching band down the main strip, and they were playing all Disney songs, which was really nice. There is absolutely no point in standing and, you know how you do for a parade, you don't need to stand there and wait for that. They do kind of organise it that way, but to be honest, when the band starts, just follow them, because you'll get the same experience, if not a little bit better, because as they walk away, it's a live band, so you just stop hearing them. We also saw a mime. There were some musicians, and yeah, it was just a nice place to be, and it was really nice to see live performers. Obviously, there were live performers in Avengers Campus and live performance in both of the shows, and you also had meet and greets like the Jessie Woody in the Pixar Land as well. There is a special place for you to go and meet Mickey. It was in his Adventure World outfit. We didn't go and meet Mickey this time. We had so much to do that we just didn't manage to get a photo with him, and it was a little bit windy. They've kind of got the meet and greet area. It's like I'd call it a bus stop, a giant bus stop. It's very similar to the riverboat ride, the queue for that. So you go underneath and you have your photos. That is right next to the lake, and yeah, it was windy, so our hair was a mess, and we cannot go anywhere with our messy hair. This isn't to say that we enjoyed every aspect of Adventure World. There were some negatives. I don't want to put anyone off, because the negatives, one of them I thought was a very big negative, and the others were just very, very small negatives. So one of them is the entrance that what was Studio B. I actually preferred it when you could walk either side of that to get in and out of the park. It rained a little bit, and that place was awful to walk through, and because you split into two paths at the end to get out into the park, you had people who were kind of just even when it wasn't raining, you had people stood there, obviously just taking photos, being in the moment, but there's not enough space to get in and out of that. There just isn't. And although I really like what they've done with it and it looks nice, the splitting into two paths I think was a mistake. And when we left after the fireworks, it just didn't work for me, because you were squashing this entire population of this park into essentially two small, for a park, doorways. If we link that up to Disneyland, the Paris one that is, you have the two arcades down the side. These kind of entrances, exits things were as wide as those arcades roughly, and it was just too many people to fit down there, so that wasn't fun. And as I say, when it rained, everyone just ran to that place because there's still not enough places to be indoors there, and it was just awful, absolutely awful. On the plus side though, they have a little donut stall there, and that's really nice. Like, they are really nice donuts. We also had a burger in the restaurant, and that was nice as well. I've mentioned that the Frozen Land was too small, but one of the things that I just failed to get was they do a Frozen show, and it's done on little barges, little boats, and it's done in like the fjord in front of the castle, which seems like a really, really nice idea. You've got the characters on the barges in front of the Arendelle Castle whilst you're in Arendelle. Yes, I get the idea. But unless you get there an hour and a half before that show starts and you are at the front, because you're having to look over bridges, you're stood on the bridge and you're having to look down. So if you're not at the front and you are too small, or you're too small to look down over the brick bridge edge, the wall, you won't be able to see. And obviously what you don't want to be doing is holding up your children and resting them on the bridge when there is a drop, and it is a significant drop, and water or bricks or a wooden there's a wooden pier under there. So seeing that show was awful, because even if you were the only person watching the show, you were the only one there, if you are a young child, and I mean anyone under the age of 9, 10, with average heights, you're not going to be able to see. So I just don't think that they've done that right, especially when they've got Big Lake on the other side of the bridge. I really think that they could have done it there, and there would have been so much more room. I think it's really short-sighted of them with how small they've made this Frozen Land, just on the whole, with the show, with the queue. The shops are really small. It's really unfortunate. Talking about being too small, one of my other issues, we went to, there was a load of little coffee shops within these small little boutique shops. They're really nice, really good idea. It means that you're not always having to queue up at the vans, because those vans can have quite big queues on them. It means that every one of these little shops has a coffee machine in there. You can pick up a drink, and there's snacks like crisp and things. But we had a cappuccino, and not only was it the smallest cup in the world, it was only half full. And that wasn't a mistake. There was a line on the side that told you how many milliliters could be in there, where to fill it up to. It was small, really small. Small. On the whole though, the park does feel like it is, when it's finished, because obviously there's an up ride that's going to open soon, which that ride mechanics, there's not one of those in Disneyland Paris. I'm not sure if there's one in California, actually. I can't remember. I believe that there is, and I don't think there is one in Florida, so it's a lesser done ride mechanic. That's going to filter out some of the queues. It's off the main path. It leads you down to where Avengers Campus is. It's near the Tangled ride, it's near the Tangled show. So it's going to be in a situation where it's going to be away from the rest of the Pixar parts. So just to back up my Aladdin ride, I don't know why they don't put the Aladdin ride where the up ride is meant to be, and put the up ride where the Aladdin Magic Carpet ride is currently. Because yes, I get the whole Spirit of Adventure thing, I do get that, but it's Pixar. It will be next to the rest of the Pixar IP rides, and it will be at the entrance of that, be near Crush's Coaster, so it will be your beginning. I also think they should swap the Mickey and the Magician and the Together shows, because then that means the Pixar show will be near Pixar Land, and it means that the Mickey and the Magician will be on the opposite side, which leads you to where the Minnie Mouse show is. the Stitch show, and it will be more towards the entrance, and but that's just me. There's also going to be the Lion King ride, which is going to be Splash Mountain. I have high hopes for this one because I really like it. I like water rides, even though I don't like water on my face or getting wet, but I do like water rides. And yeah, I think that on the summer days, this is going to be a really, really good ride. However, when we went, which was middle of May, it was too cold. There was no way I would have gone on that ride, even if it was my only opportunity to do that. I likes being warm. What can I say? I likes being warm. There is a character meat restaurant there, which is currently doing €100 buffets, but it's because you get to meet characters as you're eating. I think that's a really nice touch. We didn't go in, so I can't really tell you too much about that. But one day. And I'm sure a YouTuber like Sophie in Most Magical Guides, I'm sure she will go there and show you how amazing it is. So remember to go give her a follow as well, because, you know, I watched a lot of her videos and she's been on our podcast, and yeah, shout out to Soph. At the minute, the rest of the Disney parks, there is a lot of those boards that are up. So you walk through Disney Village, which, yes, I appreciate that they are making that a lot nicer, but you have got a lot of boards there. If you're coming from Santa Fe, you have to cross over into Cheyenne because they are doing renovations to Sequoia Lodge, so there are boards up along the path. Over at Cheyenne, they're also doing up the path, so there's boards there as well, lots of digging machines, things like that. You come into Disney Village, there's a lot of boards up. You go into Adventure World, and where the Up ride and the Lion King land is going to be, Pride Rock, they're all boards. You go over to Disneyland and there's boards around the castle, there's boards around the restaurant. I know it is Crystal Palace, but I think that is what it's called in Florida, I'm not too sure. But there's boards around there. You keep walking around the back of the castle, there is loads of boards. You're having to walk through like boarded corridors just to get around, go into one of the shops and I think one of the rides. And the Alice maze is all boarded up as well. So again, there's a lot of work happening throughout the park. So if you are staying at Santa Fe or Cheyenne, you are going to have to experience work being done from the minute you leave your hotel room, really. So, which is for future enjoyment, so I do get, but it does get to the point where it's like, please, I just want to see a nice place so I can get a nice photo. Normally with the films, we would rate the place out of 5. So I think for Adventure World, as it currently stands, it is a 3.5. They've got a few kinks that they just need to iron out, and also the addition of the Up ride and the Lion King area is going to make this, do you know what, a 4 out of 5, a 4.5, or even a 5 out of 5 park. It really has upped its game, and for me, it felt like being in one of the Florida parks. So it can only be a good thing, and hopefully if they do the third park as well and they do it to this standard, it's going to be one of those destinations that is going to be as big as Florida, I think, anyway. I hope you've enjoyed this little run through. As I say, it was a recent trip. I'm sure they've changed things even since we were there. But have you been? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget that you can join us over on Threads at the Jamie and Stephen Show. We're on Facebook as well, so make sure you search for the same handle, and Instagram. If you haven't already, like and subscribe this video. If you have enjoyed what you've heard today and would like to hear more about our opinions on the Disney classics as we go behind the scenes with loads of facts and opinions, then you can join us on wherever you get your podcasts from. And if you enjoy any of our content, remember to give us a like, 5-star review, or a share, as that will mean the world to us. I could have made a pun there, I could have said the Adventure World, but I didn't. Anyway, until next time, it's goodbye.